The following podcast contains coarse language and adult themes. This week on the show, a reading from the screenplay of X2 X-Men United. Ahem. Interior White House Day. Bamf, motherfucker! Hey friends, and welcome back to the Addicts podcast. I'm here with Eddie. How you doing, mate?
I am so pumped for X2.
Let me tell you. Did you rewatched it as well, obviously?
I did.
Did you do the triple, or did you just do 1 and 2?
I have to do the triple, because Beast is in the third one.
We were just talking about that off mic. Like, he is the reason that movie is any good. He really is. Kelsey Grammer, I mean, I know he's not the one doing all those flips and shit like that. The guy would do a fucking... I'm sure his sciatica doesn't let that happen, but yeah, goddamn if he's not a good time. But before X-Men's, which we're very excited about, I did the rewatch as well, did all the triple. Once I start, I can't stop. They're like Pringles, this film series. How are you doing? What's been going on? You're in another place.
I am, undisclosed.
Ooh, that sounds mighty ominous. Addie's in a black site right now talking to motherfucking... Who was the dude who played Ultron again? James Spader. That's a Blacklist joke for all you people over 30 out there. Enjoy.
I got that too. I watched the first 2 seasons of Blacklist.
The Blacklist kind of fucking rules, man. It's I dig it a lot. I mean, he's great in it. We hope you're all well. Thanks for joining us again for X2. Before we get into that, of course, we're going to have to do a What Are We Watching? Have you been watching some stuff, sir? Why? What happened?
Wait, how you doing?
I'm all right. I'm fucking cold in Melbourne. It's, winter solstice. It's the full moon and it's cold. It's been -degrees some evenings and some mornings. And, my ball nuts is in me throat. Like, it's really cold here at the moment, and it's hard to get motivated. But I'm trying. I'm working hard. I hurt my finger as well. I was splitting wood for the fire to keep warm. It's a confluence of fuck you events, and I haven't been able to train in like a week, so I feel really weird. Like, it's probably the longest I've gone without at least boxing, if not weight training in over 5 years, and it's I fucking hate it. However, I must tell you, everybody, I had an apple cake last night that I need to tell you about. Anybody in the vicinity of me, go to the Mount Evelyn bakery and get yourself an apple cake. I had to have it, and fuck me. It was special. But anyway, we do the best we can. We find the little joys, and one of the joys is the fact that Emily, my partner, loves the X-Men pictures. They're her favourite sort of superhero movies. And I told her that I had to watch X2 for the show, and she said, let's just do number 1 and 2 tonight. And I was like, cool, all right, let's do that. So we did that. And then she was like, oh, let's watch 3 as well. I was like, fucking knew I locked you down for a reason, babe. And she's very excited because the next one is First Class, and that's her favourite. So, you find the little joys even when it's freezy coldy balls and everybody's got vagisicles. I didn't want to leave out, those people. The people who have the vajayjay, and it gets cold too, even though it's all indoors. What are we talking about 6 minutes in? It's all indoors. Okay. Do you want to talk about what we've been watching? Oh, God. Do you want to do what we watch?
Let's do what?
Let's do that. What were we
watching?
Oh my God. I can't believe I described a vagina as all indoors. I mean, it's kind of true. But... Oh, okay, everybody. Sorry, we're off to me and Addie haven't caught up for a little while either, so it's kind of, it always gets silly straight away. You tell me what you've been watching. You've been sort of on the road. Have you been catching stuff like in between travel, or how'd that work?
Yeah. So before I talk about anything that I've watched, I want to say that I love you and I love the show that we do because I re-listened to two of our podcasts on the plane,
Sure.
and I have to say, it's irrelevant what people think about Morbius. That is one of the best episodes we've ever done.
I love our Morbius episode. Yeah, it's so heartfelt considering the just like categorical hatred of that picture. To find something, positive in it is a good thing.
And I had forgotten about it until you mentioned the apple cake, and then it struck me that in the episode you talk about Jared Leto being vegan, but he sometimes have a piece of cake.
Yeah, he does. He's like, I'm mostly vegan, but he occasionally has like a piece of birthday cake which might have eggs or milk in it or something like that. Yeah, it's a beautiful meme because he's like was swishing his beautiful 50-year-old golden locks. Well, he's probably older than that now too. He's just like, hello. Well, he's not golden locked, but he's got this fucking raven hair. He looks like fuckable the Crow. Like, it's just amazing. Well, the Crow's a zombie. You can't have sex with the Crow because he's a zombie. Like, he came back from the dead. Jared Leto's just a vampire in that picture. That's all right, I guess. I don't know. I mean, if you want to fuck zombies,
yeah, go for it.
Yourself. Yeah.
There's no kink shaming here.
No, you could be a dendrophiliac and enjoy that too, whatever you want.
I don't know what that is. Should
it's a person
I
who
ask?
has sex with trees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, dendrophilia is the love of trees and foliage and stuff like that, but dendrophiliacs are people who go out there and actively go, hey, big Mr. Ghost Gum or elk, stick your branches in me. Or let me stick branches in myself, whatever we're doing. I'm going to take those acorns. I'm going to put the nuts right in my mouth. We haven't talked about anything yet. It's been 10 minutes and we haven't talked about anything of, like that the podcast is normally about. Like movies, nothing. We're not even close to start.
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, Morbius episode is a good one. What was the other one you listened to?
The Superman one.
Ah, yes. Fitting considering what's come out in the last couple of days. I'll talk about that in Nerd News, but one of my favourites to go back to is our Doctor Strange 2 episode, just because it fucking goes off the rails so hard at the end. Like, that's where I think we kind of found speed and was like, oh, this is what the show is. It's going to be complete nonsense. Well, I'm glad that was able to occupy you.
So I listened to the Morbius episode, and I downloaded Doctor Sleep, the director's cut on my phone, so I could watch it.
Fucking love that movie, man.
Oh, dude,
love it.
There's nothing like children kicking you in the back while they're murdering an innocent child.
On the plane, yeah, baseball boy, whatever. Fuck him. What's his name? That kid from The Room?
Jacob Tremblay.
Jacob Tremblay. Yeah, he gets well murked in that film. Yeah, but I could watch Doctor Sleep once a week for the rest of my life and be quite happy. Director's cut. I just love it. I don't know. Speaks to me. Okay, so you watched Doctor Sleep. That was another really good episode of ours, actually. I love the Doctor Sleep episode. All the Mike Flanagan episodes were great.
I haven't gone back
great,
to
as
those.
in, I don't know how good they are quality-wise. I just had a great time doing them as well.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the general consensus of, like, us having favorite episodes. It's just the fun that we have recording them.
Yeah, I go back and listen to them because it reminds me of the good time that I had. Not like I'm sitting there going, yeah, I bet these are popular. Like, I can have no idea. I don't really pay much attention to that. And what else did you watch? Did you watch anything else apart from the X-Men?
I watched one of my most anticipated movies of this year.
Ooh, I know what it is.
Inside Out 2.
And it was really, really good.
It was really, really good, and it is almost on the same level as the first one.
That's a bold statement. People out there are going to be fucking, click-clacking on their keyboards and eating their chairs and stuff like that, getting crazy about it. I don't know. Is it doing well? I'm not really sure.
It is overthrown Dune 2 as the most highest grossing movie of this year.
Shut the front door.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And to
I mean, I
have,
suppose that makes sense considering it's a big, Disney Pixar joint, and there's, children are always out wanting to do stuff.
yeah, but this one, it's, oh boy. I don't want to spoil anything, but I was crying for the last 40 minutes of this movie.
Yeah, wow. We might have to circle back, I think, and do an ep on it then, because I just won't have a chance to see it before we have to get the Logan episode out, which is our next episode. So it's a little bit busy production-wise, and I'm sort of finishing up a big contract as well. So yeah, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Is it on Disney Plus or is it just going straight to cinema?
It's still in theaters. It's only been what's today? It's been 16 days since it's been released.
Oh, it'll be on Disney Plus any minute now. Then they don't waste a lot of time down there.
I've seen, since Inside Out 2 has come out, I've seen a lot of people give hate to Turning Red and Luca. Famously amazing films that were just thrown onto Disney Plus without theatrical release. And I feel like those are two movies that the generation that was born with Instagram needs. They need those films.
How come?
Well, both are coming of age stories in insanely different ways. But it when I watched them, I was 20, and it made me realize things about myself. So think about the things they would do to preteens.
Yeah, I mean, that's you kind of grow up with media, and then you look back on things and you forget how formative they actually were. As silly as it sounds, the Mighty Ducks movies?
Oh yeah.
Fucking great. First two of them are great anyway. It's like Ted Lasso as an adult. That taught me kindness and group dynamics and how to be a team and how to, sacrifice your wants for the needs of others and for the group and all that stuff, these things comics are the same. They're barometers for emotional behavior and how to be a human being. My business partner Dan makes the argument that if everybody should watch Ted Lasso, it should be humanity's homework to do that, because it's how we're going to have to behave moving forward if we're going to survive as a species. Kindness is the only currency. The thing, the human trait that holds the most value. The only thing of actual value is time, and the only choice in any decision is the one you make from love and not fear. And this is a show that teaches you that. So, yeah, I think you're right. And I loved Luca. I haven't seen Red. I thought Luca was great.
Yeah, Luca was special.
Was there anything else that you watched?
I did. So I watched a lot of good movies, and then I watched The Room.
You and this goddamn movie. All right. Before I go away in December, which is something we'll have to talk about actually, we'll have to do maybe a November. We'll do it for my birthday or something. We'll do a roomentary or a Filmatics podcast commentary presents The Room. And maybe I'll just go in cold as well. I won't watch it beforehand. I'll just be for one time only kind of deal. Yeah,
it should be that way.
That's what everybody tells me. Just don't investigate it. Don't watch that disaster artist picture. Just go straight in and that they do it at the fucking Nova here in Melbourne all the time. They've got it running 24/7 as far as I can understand. It's just on a loop. Yeah. So a bunch of really good movies and then some horse shit. Good for you. Nice
it's not horse shit. It is arguably one of the best films ever made about making movies.
Sure. Yeah, okay. I get that.
It's up there with Babylon for sure.
Okay, take it easy. Yeah, you're even shaking your own head at that. That was a stupid thing to say. You're not allowed to do any more. It's my turn.
Yeah. Take over.
Mine are real quick because I haven't really haven't had a huge amount of time. As I mentioned before, I'm rewatching Ted Lasso at the moment, and it's a fucking joy just to see, to really get in and binge it, and enjoy the overarching stories, especially in season 2, as Nate kind of devolves into this kind of cruel person, and Ted inadvertently stops giving him attention because he thinks he's kind of that bridge is already built, and that's not actually correct. The kid still needs, the support that he does. But to see Jamie's turn around and to see Roy's turn around and Hannah Waddingham's characters turn around and everybody, from the beginning of season 1 to the end of season 1 where he forgives her for trying to sabotage him and bringing him in intentionally to ruin the club, and him just saying, "I forgive you," is a beautiful, poignant, incredibly funny, absolutely hysterical drama comedy show that just keeps on giving. The more you watch it, the more it reveals itself to be one of the top 3, if not 3, top 5 best TV shows of all time. I don't even mean just comedies. Like it's up there as, you know, some of the greatest, with, you know, fucking Mad Men and Deadwood and fucking Boardwalk Empire, Penny Dreadful, all the stuff I love. You know, it's like, it's some of the best shit ever. I rewatched the Dark Knight trilogy because I do that every winter. The Astor normally does a triple bill. Now, they haven't done it this year because they probably did it last year for the big Nolan retrospective before Oppenheimer came out. And I went to see it with my mate Tim last year, the trilogy, and it played so much better for me this time, well, that time around. And it was just, I felt the arc of that story over the 3 films, like even as much as so much so that they desaturate over time. Like the first one's very amber, the second one's very blue, and the last one's almost black and white, like it's set during snow and all that kind of shit. Bruce's story, like his journey is really powerful, and the not the conquering of fear, but the understanding that fear is necessary in order to evolve and strive, you know. And I'm reminded so often of the scene where he has to climb out of Bane's anus. Sorry, I feel like I was getting too serious. I had to throw an anus in there. No, he's got to climb out of Bane's prison, and the guy's talking to him, and he's like, you know, you have no, you know, need to have the fear in order to be able to do it. And he's like, I am afraid. I'm not afraid of dying, but I'm afraid of Gotham burning while I'm not there. And he says, you know, how can you fight longer than possible, you know, strive longer than possible, climb higher than possible without the fear of failure, without the fear of death? You need to climb, and you need to make that jump without the rope. And I think I'm going to get a tattoo that says without the rope, because it's such a great credo for being a human being and living as if you don't know how it ends, because you don't. And we get caught up in the everyday minutiae and the sort of the things that we're told to understand, or the things that we're told to pay attention to, whatever the media wants us to buy or listen to, or any of that shit. Like if you block all that out for a second, we're really here for just an infinitesimal amount of time. And you've got to take as much advantage of it as you can, and doing it without the rope, without fear, but with fear, but with the understanding that in order to get further, you need that. Yeah, I think that's a really, really strong message. So I did the 4K run of that. Fuck, the remasters look so good. Yeah, I really dig it. The only thing I don't dig is Bale's Batman voice. Like, I think it's because it's been parodied so much. It's like when you hear someone do Christopher Walken, you're like, yeah, come on, all right, it's not 1994. Let's move on from that. But yeah, super, super great series. And also watch Blade, because my sister-in-law was over and we were boxing. This is before I hurt my hand. And that song from the opening club scene of Blade came on. It's like Confusion dub step remix, something or other. I can't remember the name of it or the artist, but whatever. But you know it when you hear it, like, and then the blood rain comes down. And it came on while we're boxing because it's on my gym playlist. And I was like, oh, this is from that movie Blade I keep telling you about. And she's like, is that the one they keep trying to make with Mahershala Ali? And I'm like, yes, it is. She's like, I've never seen the original. And I was like, well, you're staying for dinner, mate, and we're going to have a bunch of leftovers, and we're going to watch fucking Blade on 4K. And she dug it, and it rules. It fucking rules. Blade 1 and 2 are awesome. You can, like, read the fucking tea leaves, friends. The signs are all there. It's not working. Whatever version you're trying to do with Mahershala and all the directors and writers who keep dropping out, the universe is giving you a sign. Just leave Blade alone. The Wesley Snipes films are great. The first 2 are great. The third one's not particularly good, but it's still a Wesley Snipes Blade movie, so it's better than most things. Don't worry about it. You know, let's just all move on and leave Blade. He's doing fine in the comics. He's a fucking Avenger and shit. There's a whole big arc going on in the comics at the moment called Blood Pact or Blood Pact
Hunt.
or something. Blood Hunt, where every motherfucker's turning into a god. Miles Morales was a vampire for a little bit, you know, and that's all Blade-centric. Maybe it's cool to just leave it for a little while until you have a better idea, maybe. Mahershala Ali's like 50 now anyway. It's not going to work. So yeah, that's what I've been watching. Thanks for letting me rant about stuff as well.
Oh no, dude, this is your show.
I feel really strongly about that thing from The Dark Knight. Like, it really struck me last year. Like, it put me on a path last year. The back half of, from sort of June to December of last year, I was really focusing on that. I literally had that written above my desk because it's such a beautiful, holistic and integrated way to live. Integrated with the natural world. To accepting all the things that you are and all the things that it is, and trying to find a balance between the two, or just not finding it, but just respecting the fact that there already is a balance, whether you're looking for it or not. Yeah. And I like to tell people cool things that I think are cool.
I don't like those movies, but I love how much of an impact those have on you.
And I've got to be honest, they didn't before that. I thought they were good movies, well-made movies, and I like Christopher Nolan a lot. But last year, just something about that story and seeing them all at once on the big screen, huge, 70mm screen. I think it was only 35, but it was huge. And just the immersion of it, and it just, I don't know, that struck me. Maybe it's because I'm getting older as well, and the story is about aging as well. And yeah, thank you for letting me. I know they're not your fave. I know you like the Ben Afflecks.
For a different reason.
Yeah, he's fucking thick.
Absolutely. Nuts in my face. What else do I want?
Exactly. What do you want? What more could you possibly ask for than some thick nuts in your face? Shall we get into some nerd news?
I do want to talk about two more things because we talked about Bloodhound and it reminded me.
Are you reading that at all? I'm not reading it. I just know that it's going on.
No, I'm starting that tonight.
Yeah, right.
And I've been reading the Jonathan Hickman run of the X-Men, the House of X storyline. So that goes on from Krakoa and has, I think, 2 other spin-offs, which is Power of X and Fall of X.
I mean, all of Jonathan Hickman's stuff is really dense. Like, he is one of the most cerebral. He could go the cerebral comics Olympics. He would get silver next to Grant Morrison. You know what I mean?
I agree, but also just the art of especially the first 2 issues to just set the tone, and to have Charles Xavier have a fucking god complex is insane, and I love it because of course.
I mean, it's surprising it hadn't been done before.
Yeah, but it's especially it's the cover art is him in a Catholic fucking cape with a halo behind it with the cerebral helmet. It's insane. But also it's so fucking gay coded, I can't there's no way that Charles Xavier is not gay.
Come on. Of course he is. Of course he is. He's probably not gay, he's probably bi or pan, I'd say, Imagine being a being that could read other people's thoughts and, can be all of these different things because he has access to everything, every person on the planet. You would fall in love every 10 minutes.
Fuck, that sounds exhausting.
And then you would also be grossed out every 4 seconds. You'd be like, oh, Jesus Christ. Ugh, oh, ugh. All the things that you might see. Disastrous.
Yeah. I've also been watching House of the Dragon season 2.
Yes, and how is that going? Are the dragons taking over the house, or?
The drama is cool, but as soon as the dragons come on, I'm just drooling, man.
Yeah. Does any of them have tits?
They don't, but if I make an animated show ever.
Please, for me, if nothing, I'll do the voice of it as well. I've got one in the bag ready for it. I won't do it now, but we're ready to go. Yeah, Tommy likes that show too. You guys keep talking about it in the chat. Our little pod community, I love it.
Yeah, The Voice season 4 is good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm digging it, but I don't know, that something feels when it comes to the quieter moments, and it's Butcher trying to talk to Billy. Is that the kid's name? Homelander's son? Is it Billy?
Ryan.
Where'd I fucking get Billy from?
Because it's Billy Butcher.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Yes, when he's doing that and he's going to drug him with the cookies. Spoilers, by the way. And then they end up just playing foosball. That's... And Butcher's whole arc is I'm following that and stuff. And the stuff with Starlight being kind of outed as this horrible pageant girl and that's the reason why this woman's come back. And Anthony Starr is just chilling in the episode where he goes back to where he was created. There's something about, and I love Mother's Milk. Fucking forget it.
Fuck yeah.
What a gun. It's something about the grotesquity of it is like, I don't have a problem with it. Like, push it as far as you absolutely want, but I feel like some of it's unnecessary.
Oh, definitely.
Like, there's no real reason to, like, I think it's really funny, but there's no real reason to have that guy fucking do a tossed salad, a human centipede of himself. I get it. It's funny. It's a good joke, but I feel like they're trying to push buttons. And I don't have a problem if they do push buttons. They're not pushing mine, but it's almost manipulative a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like season 3 was great, but also like we're supposed to follow Huey, and Huey did almost little to nothing there.
Yeah, all he did is he keeps getting injured. Like, what the fuck? I'm still watching. I'm gonna keep watching. They've got me.
Because season 5 is the last one, but like the blood is too like the gore itself is too unnecessary because it's serving nothing at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it had a tangible reality for a while, but now it's extreme in the way that you can disconnect from it, which is kind of not the point. You're supposed to be grossed out, but it's not now. It's kind of just silly and funny and like B-movie-ish. But that's whatever. They got to keep trying. They got to keep pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, I just don't want the boys to become what it's parodying, which it's treading the line a lot.
Yeah, especially with the turn that's going to happen with Ryan. Like, he's going to end up being one of the boys, and he's going to be their only soup. And he's going to have to fight his father. Like, that's what's up. And it's going to turn into Invincible, which I'm cool with too because of Invincible rules. Shall we nerd news? I think that's important.
We shall nerd news.
Couple of quick ones. Smash through. Fucking, I must tell you, Robert Eggers' Nosferatu trailer dropped, and fuck yes. This guy makes great pictures. I love The Lighthouse. I love The Northman. That movie is fucking baller, and it was really just got at the cinema tanked. But it's such a great movie. Like, yeah, I'm excited for this film. What do you reckon?
Dude, I'm excited too. I'm so excited. Dude, this is like the last shot of that trailer with the hound and just the shadow of Dracula. Holy fuck. And
you just see the silhouette of him, and then fucking Defoe gets the tagline at the end, Nosferatu, and it's just, yes, please. He's king. And I really like Lily Rose Depp. I think she's extremely talented. I reckon she deserves a win after being in the fucking horrible show The Idol, where she literally had cum photoshopped onto her face. Oh my good gravy. That TV show is whack. That is whack, that show. I don't have a problem with like gratuitous sex or violence or anything like that, but that TV show was fucking offensive to everybody who's ever lived ever.
Hey Hollywood, let's not give that guy any more shit. Like let's have somebody else take over Euphoria, please.
Yeah, or just leave it. There's you don't need to do it anymore. Like, and the more like space that it gets, the more you'll kind of be able to appreciate it, I think, as well. Like, it just, there's something rotten in Denver. Like, it's gone too far now. There. Anyway, yeah, the Nosferatu. Good going, everybody. Put Bill Skarsgård as another fucking horror villain. I love it. Barry Keoghan and Paul Mescal to star in the upcoming Beatles biopic, which will be is reportedly being directed by Sam Mendes.
Wait, what the fuck? Really?
Mescal will be playing Paul McCartney, and Keoghan will be playing Ringo Starr. Additionally, Harris Dixon from The Triangle of Sadness will play John Lennon, and Charlie Rowe will be playing George Harrison. That one was for you.
I did not know that. That makes me really happy.
Yeah, man. And Paul's currently was about to be in the Gladiator 2, which I said to my man Leo from the Movies on Weed podcast he had it in his story that it was, the trailer for it's coming out in July. I'm like, I still can't get over that they're making Gladiator 2. because not only did that movie come out in the year 2000, so it's 25 years later. I mean, I suppose that makes sense. They do that all the time, really. But it's just a weird pick. Gladiator 2. And Russell Crowe, I understand, is not in it. Because spoilers, Maximus dies in the first one. And they were going to bring him back as like a servant of God, like an angel, an avenging angel from heaven, in a sequel that they sort of toted back in the day. Even Russell Crowe talked about it. And I don't know what this one is. Because Mescal's wearing the same armor. So it's definitely not one of his kids, because his kids get murdered in the beginning of that movie. So who are we? Where are we? What's going on? The mind boggles.
Fun fact, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen Gladiator.
It's a really good picture. It's historically inaccurate, like even so much that the horse saddles weren't invented when the thing's supposed to take place. But, there you go. Our main man, Mike Flanagan, is confirmed to direct a radical new Exorcist reboot. Officially directed, described as a radical new take on the Exorcist franchise. Addy's throwing his hands up. Specifics of what that means currently being kept under wraps, but it is not a sequel to last year's Exorcist The Believer, which was David Gordon Green's kickstart of the new franchise, but it did really, really badly. And they were going to do a sequel, Exorcist Deceiver, that has been pulled. So there you go. Flanny.
I'm so happy.
He's doing Exorcist. The first Exorcist movie is fucking some of the most gangster shit you'll ever see. That movie is off the chain. But yeah, I'm down for anything he does in any genre, honestly. Yeah, I'm excited.
Plus, he's doing the Dark Tower show as well.
Yeah, so he was supposed to be doing it on Amazon, but that apparently isn't now happening. I reckon Apple will pick it up eventually, because they fucking do all that sort of, high fantasy, high concept sci-fi stuff.
They do, yeah. Severance is a good example of that.
Severance is great. Dark Matter's really good, one they've got going on at the moment. Presumed Innocent with Jake Gyllenhaal's fucking awesome. They do really good shit. I like all their original stuff. I know they don't have, their streaming services only for their products. They don't have any, movies or anything on there that they don't produce. But they produce good shit. And in a little bit of nerd news, these two can cross over. Sean Levy, who is the director of Deadpool and Wolverine, and who also made quite a good picture called Real Steel with the Hugh Jackmans that I watched last night. Because we watched X-Men and I was like, I'm in the mood for more Hugh, and I can't watch any of the X-Men or Wolverine pictures because me and Emily have to do those together at the moment. Just thought, I've got to get some Hugh in me. And that came up, and I thought, why not? I haven't seen that since it came out. And I had a fucking great time with it.
First time?
No, I watched it when it came out, but I used to smoke a lot of weed. And I don't recall it at all. This was a good sort of sober rewatch, and had myself some vanilla ice cream, some coconut vanilla ice cream, and just watched the shit out of this good, fun movie with fucking boxing robots in it. I mean, it's right up my alley, honestly. So yeah, but Sean Levy, the director of that picture, is in talks, or is reportedly the top choice to direct Avengers 5, which is currently unnamed, I guess. However, this next story is probably more interesting. Jordan Peele is in talks to direct an upcoming MCU film, something in Phase 6. Just fucking give him an Avengers movie. Like, if it's all like space shit and if you really if they're going Krang, like, the Technodrome. Sorry, that was a Ninja Turtles reference. If they're going Kang still, or if they're going Doctor Doom, or whoever they're doing, whatever the fuck, give it to Peele and let him put some scary shit in it. Like, imagine an entire Avengers film that is just the sequence, like with the Red Skull in the middle of Endgame. You know what I'm saying? Like, creepy.
I was going to say, just give him the Midnight Suns film and be done with it, man. For fuck's sake.
Actually, yeah, fucking forget what I said. I'm much more interested in that, honestly. And leave Blade out of it, unless you're going to put Wesley Snipes back in the suit.
No! The fact that they're taking this much time means that they care. They care.
Or they fucking have no way around the story. Like, if you can't find a way into somewhere, maybe you weren't invited. That's a better way to put it, probably. Just leave it be. But yeah, Midnight Suns is a fucking great idea. Two more things really quickly. We've seen some pictures of the David Cornsweet, who is the new Superman, Clark, in the suite, and also Mr. Miracle was staying there too, which is pretty cool. I'm like withholding all judgment until the film comes out, but like I said to yourself and Juan and Kike in the pod chat that we have amongst us dudes, yeah, it looks like jammies. The suit looks like jammies. It looks like PJs. It looks like he's just going to settle in with a warm cup of milk and a water bottle and just tuck right the fuck in, you know? I'm not 100% sure about it. And then a picture of him as Clark came out today, and he's got like curly hair.
I like that. I like the Clark one. But I also don't like that we're getting so many pictures without like an official release. Like, this is what I hate about journalism, in air quotes.
Yeah, this is not journalism. This is paparazzi nonsense. That's people with, you know, like 300 to 500 to 1,000 millimeter zoom lenses, 6 buildings away, snapping shit and then selling it to Entertainment Tonight. That's not journalism. That is vulturism. You can get fucked. There's
a picture of, in the collection of pictures that were released, there's a picture of James Gunn just looking directly at the camera all the night. I get it.
I would too, man. He engages with it a lot, so it's you know, he's got to expect that kind of stuff. But yeah, it would be better if people just leave it the fuck alone, I agree. But yeah, anyway, that movie will be what it'll be. And just finally, before we move on, as of the 20th of June 2024, the world is without the wonderful, wonderful actor Donald Sutherland. Such a talent, known for MASH, Clute, Pride and Prejudice, The Hunger Games. I just watched him the night before that. I watched Ad Astra, which he's really great in, and I love him as the pyromaniac in Backdraft. Just a supreme talent, incredible career. Yeah, he will be missed. He will be sorely missed in the cinema landscape. God bless, Donald. We'll see you in the next one. Talking about things that are very much alive is the X-Men franchise, the original X-Men franchise, the OG, X2 from 2002, was it? I'm pretty sure it was 2002 because the first one was 2000. We have director Bryan Singer. I know there's some controversy around him. I'm not going to talk about it. Just is what it is. 2003. X2 it's called, and you forget that until you see the opening credits again. X2, X United. This is my favourite X-Men picture. Like, I think Days of Future Past is great, but it works only because these two things come together. In terms of a standalone X-Men story, this is the motherfucking tits. Like, it is just, it's got everything you want. And, you know, to call back my joke from the intro, we were watching it the other night, and I even said after it was done, I was like, that is one of the best action sequences of all time. And it is also one of the best uses of superhero antics, superhero powers in a major motion picture. And to open your movie like that is such a fucking baller move. Yeah, it's so well cut. It's so well composed and shot and edited. I think it's great. It just sets you up for the movie. It's like, oh, this is going to be some for real shit. Tell me your feelings about X2 and why are we doing it again? Because we sort of half did it.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing it again because it just fucking rules.
Yeah, it rules hard.
You have Nightcrawler up in that shit and it rules. Like, that's all you need. You need Nightcrawler and Beast.
You do. I mean, eventually we did get Beast, but you know, that's another picture. But yeah, I mean, to bring in Nightcrawler because it's such an interesting character, and it also has a perspective, like to have these stories live in a science fiction world. Like, I don't particularly see these as being action movies, or even though I said I've got an action movie before, but you know, it's more science fiction, and that's what the X-Men are. They're creations of science fiction in science fact. Like, mutation is evolutionary constant. It happens. It is how we went from being whatever we were, amoebas, and then, you know, calling land mammals, and then to Cro-Magnon, and then us. Like in Jurassic Park, where he talks about some frogs will change their gender in a single gender environment in order to procreate. Things like that. To have it rooted in science fiction is like really, really critical. It doesn't feel like a comic book movie is the thing that I'm trying to get to. The other two do. It's the story of like the attack on humanity, basically, and the repercussions of that, and what that is, and the genetics of it. And then to have this character who is all about Catholicism or is Christian, and believes that he's got the scars on him and that he's done himself, and they're the symbols of the Archangel Gabriel. And Storm says, how many do you have? And he says, one for every sin, so quite a few. Like, to have a repentant man, a repentant mutant on this team is a great dynamic to scientists and skeptics. So Wolverines and Professor Xavier's,
I mean, you put it perfectly.
Well, thanks. That's the end of the show, so you got it.
But Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler is one of, if not the best casting in these movies.
I said the same to Emily and Beast as well. I think Kelsey Grammer is fantastically cast but then again, watching the original X-Men, and it's the first meeting between Charles and Eric on the gangway after the Senate meeting, and that was Patrick Stewart's first day of work on the film as well, and he sort of had to bring, because he didn't really understand what was going on and he hadn't got his character down and everything, and he hadn't worked with the DP or the director or anything before. That whole sequence is his relationship with Ian McKellen is why that works. They have such great simpatico and they're so good together because they have a history in the theatre. But anyway, the point being, that scene happened, and M said, she should have been a guest on this episode, honestly. She said it is their two performances over the course of this series and into the other prequels and sequels and everything where they do show up, Logan and Days of Future Past. The gravitas of them as actors, not even that they were super famous then, because they weren't. Patrick Stewart was known from Star Trek, obviously, and had done, had a great theatrical career and whatever, and so had Ian McKellen. But Ian McKellen, like, this is pre-Lord of the Rings. Like, he wasn't super famous yet. He'd been in, like, The App Pupil and The Shadow and stuff. Lord of the Rings was, 2001?
Yeah, this came out 2003, which is, like, the last...
No, I'm talking about the first one, the first X-Men.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it's just them as actors. They have so much power. So I think those guys and definitely Nightcrawler and definitely Beast, everybody else you could kind of pull out. Like, a lot of people could have been Cyclops. Even a lot of people could have been Wolverine, and they nearly fucking were. Like, he was a sort of a last minute replacement, and the homie's like 6'3" or something like that. Really, the guy should be as tall as Danny DeVito. If you go in sort of, comic rules. But I think there's a lot of people who could have been that role. Even Robert De Niro would have been great. But yeah, Nightcrawler is... But I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of people who could have been Wolverine. Not a lot of people who could have done Nightcrawler really well. And I think Alan Cumming is perfect.
Yeah, it's just, we tackle so much in X2, and him, like, having the constant... being a physical manifestation of the cruelty that humanity can put a person through just for not looking as a human, and having him be full of faith and full of belief in the world it's the X-Men dream. And like the scene where he teleports Storm on the other side of the makeshift fucking Cerebro thing, and she says that I have faith in you, and it's like, and Alan's coming reaction to that, it's like his whole life he just wanted to hear that. They're like, the story is amazing, the cinematography is good, the performances are great, but then there is Nightcrawler who's just there and just elevates every fucking scene that he's in.
Yeah, he does bring a lot out of the actors as well. Like when he has moments, particularly with Storm, where he's sort of standing there and he's like, "You and Miss Grey are school teachers," and she's like, "Yeah, we have a school for kids where we protect them." He's like, "Protect them from what?" He's like, "From other people," and he's like, "Most people won't believe anything beyond what they see with their own two eyes. You have to have faith, and it doesn't even need to be." They're not talking religious faith. He is allegorical, in a grand respect of any kind of belief structure, any kind of belief system. It could be science that you believe in, as long as you believe it. Yeah, I think the addition of him, and then him not being in the third one was kind of a bit of a slight, but I don't know, maybe he didn't want to come back.
I mean, yeah, like the production of that is a story for another time. But the only good thing about the third one is Beast, of course, and the fact that we we see Logan and Storm in somewhat of co-leader positions, but we don't have a team for them to lead, which fucking sucks.
You know, getting back to X2, I think you're right. They're setting the kids up eventually to kind of take over the reins. You know, you got Bobby there, and you got Pyro and Rogue and all that stuff, and you know, you see Colossus, the change, and where the guys are shooting. Like the attack, like the opening sequence is fucking amazing, but the attack on Xavier's mansion after the fantastic Brian Cox, you know, goes to the president and he's like, and he orchestrated the whole shit. Nightcrawler coming in there with his mind-altering stuff that he's done to both Magneto and Lady Deathstrike. He's so great. He's such a bigot. He's so prejudiced. He's willing to murder children in order to you know, get back at Xavier for not being able to treat his son for being a mutant, and for the death of his wife, which was caused by his son. You know, he took a power drill to her left temple in order to bore the images out. My boy, like he's absolutely insane. The attack on the mansion where he goes into the president's offices and he's like, you know, it's a training facility. And then Mystique as the senator's like, Senator Waterjelly is like, this training facility is a school. And he's like, sure it is. And shows the sort of like topographical map, and you could sort of see through, like, and you could see the Blackwing or the X-Wing thing. And he's like, what the hell is that? And he goes, we don't know, but it comes out of the basketball court. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, it's just, yeah, it's some gangster shit. And then the attack, and it's Wolverine standing there, like he's in the kitchen with Bobby, and again, great use of powers. He's like, you got any beer?
Yeah.
This is a school. And he's like, oh, you got anything else? Chocolate milk? There should be soda in the small cupboard. He gets one down. It's warm because it's been in the cupboard. He gives it to Iceman and he blows on it. And now it's nice and cool for him. Like, that's just cool. That's just cool, practical use of your powers, you know? And then the scene where he's in the kitchen and then he hears something, he fucks off, and then the guy comes in with a gun and he grabs him as, you know, you pick the wrong house bub, and then he just absolutely digs his claws into either side of this guy's chest, and we're fucking on. Like, it's one of the best sort of Wolverine sequences I think they've ever done.
I think that, like, the only other thing that I can think of, except for, like, that, is the last Wolverine, Logan run in Logan, where he takes the adrenaline shot.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Logan's sort of a thing unto itself, and we'll talk about that next time. But I just mean, like, he's taken these motherfuckers out, like, tactically, and, you know, like, he gets down, gets the guy in the foot, and grabs him, and you see the light drop, and then Colossus is like, I can help you, and he's help them, and goes off, and then there's the great moment where he sort of shuts that sort of blast door behind the kids and turns around and screams, "You want to shoot me? Shoot me!" and like schnicks out the claws before Bobby builds the ice wall after Stryker comes down. And you see, like, this is the best Wolverine he's ever looked, because it was obviously, you know, more yoked than he was in X-Men 1 because he didn't have time to train. They backloaded all of his scenes, shirtless scenes in X-Men 1 to the end of the schedule so he could get in some sort of shape. But this one, he's in Wolverine shape. Later on, it gets insane. Like, when he's in Days of Future Past, he's juicing like a motherfucker. Like, he's just big as hell. But this, he just looks like a really strong, feral dude. And I really dig this representation of Wolverine, because he's got to deal with a bunch of kids and stuff, but this scene in particular.
Yeah. Also, this is the most weird fucking road trip movie of all time.
It is a bit strange, yeah. But that's how they become X-United, you know. I also love, just coming back to that scene where the Stryker comes down and he can't remember who he is. He's trying to reach for it, and you see the flashes of his past a lot throughout the film. And then the ice wall comes up, and Wolverine's like, no, like, I need answers. Because that then in turn makes sense, where at the end he's like, you know, who do you think's got the answers, me or that creature in your arms? And he takes his dog tags off and throws them at him and says, I'll take my chances with the kid, you know. There are no answers that way, Wolverine! This was really the start of Hugh being the most critical, the most interesting story anyway. It's why he got his own series, you know. Like,
Hugh Jackman is a household name because of those films, but also Wolverine was a part written for anyone to be in it, and anyone who was Wolverine would have been that way, like, had, like, gotten that way. Like how Iron Man, if anybody else played it, they would have still been, you know.
I feel like there's you know, you're not wrong. I feel like they would have received some success. I don't think they would have taken it to the extremes that Jackman did. Like, he was so committed to this. Like, remember when they were doing the press for the second Wolverine picture, the Wolverine, the one set in Japan, and he was on stage and he got Len Wein up on stage and he's like, this man's responsible for my career, and he just seems to love it in a way that I'm not sure Doug Ray Scott or anyone else who was touted as being him would have done. And I don't think Iron Man would have been as popular if RDJ wasn't doing it, because he's so charismatic, and also it's a redemption story, and so is his. You know, like that's, you know, if you got someone in there who hadn't been through what Robert Downey had been through and hadn't, you know, had to come back from nothing, and, you know, from the point where movie companies wouldn't even insure him because he was such a fucking flight risk, to then becoming arguably the, you know, most popular, if not richest actor on the planet, I feel like it would, if it was a Tom Cruise or something, I feel like it would be less impressive, and wouldn't stick in people's heads as much. I don't know. But Patrick Stewart, though, you cast anyone else as Professor X and it doesn't work as well.
It doesn't.
I'm sorry. It just does not. He was born for it. I remember they used to have the Wizard magazine, which is this like comic book fanzine kind of thing that was published between sort of, you know, late 80s to, I don't know, probably the end of 2000s, maybe mid 2000s before it stopped altogether. And they would have a casting call section where they would cast a movie. And so pre-X-Men, so before the movie came out, years before it came out, you know, it would have been early 90s, they would do like, hey, who should play Beast and who should play Wolverine and blah, blah, blah. That's where I got the Robert De Niro thing from, because it was what they said, Wolverine. Patrick Stewart was always the one they said should play Professor X. In every single fucking iteration, it was always him. So I don't think you can take him out of this franchise and have it make sense. And then you don't get the Logan performance, which is fucking outstanding.
You don't get that, and you don't get like the chemistry between Professor X and Magneto. It's like those two are those characters. Like, I hear them when I read the comics.
Yeah, oh, me too. Yeah, me too. It's a bit muddled with the cartoon people sometimes, but that's okay, from the original series. Just back to the point that you made before about it being a weird road movie. It kind of is, because you've got this... The one part I don't like about it is... not that I don't like about it, that I just don't think works as well as the rogue kind of thing. Like, I understand that what is going on. It's the really cool scene where they kiss and she like blows cold breath out is really cool, and that stuff. Anna Paquin ain't got it in this film. She doesn't really have it in any of these movies. I like her in some other stuff, but not so much this. I really like Shawn Ashmore. I think he's great. He's really good in The Rookie, which is a TV show he's in now. But they don't have any chemistry, so it just doesn't really work for me. But the story of Bobby having to go back and tell his parents that he's a mutant, it's a coming out allegory.
Oh, definitely.
Like, and not thinly veiled. Like, of course it is, obviously, but it works so well. And I remember, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Laura Schuler-Donner, who was the producer on these pictures. Said it in the special features. She's like, in the research they did, they spoke to people who were, you know, gay or from the LGBTQIA plus community about what it was like to do that. And the amount of times they heard the phrase, my parents asked me, can you try not and be gay, or can you try not to be a mutant or whatever, was shocking. You know, how can you try and be something you are not? You know, like if I said to you, Addie, can you please just work really hard to try and be more of a sailor? I really need you to be a fucking old-timey sailor, you know, and swab the deck and wear white and blue with frills and a silly hat and sit on the end of a huge gun turret and sing songs like it's vaudeville. You'd be like, get fucked. It's 2024. You know what I mean? Like, it's exactly the same thing. Or if you said to me, hey, Riggs, can you be Chinese? We're like, no, I can't be Chinese. I cannot be Chinese. There is nothing I can do to even remotely even try to become Chinese. That's all I'm saying. It's just asking someone to not be is ridiculous. Yeah. You know? But I love that. It's part of the story. I also like how Wolverine's here and he's just helping himself to their beer and introducing Professor Logan. Professor of what exactly? Art. Like, of course he'd be like the music teacher or something, you know?
Like, I love that section of the film because, like, yeah, sure, Anna Paquin is not Rogue. The thing is, these are not the characters from the comics, which fucking sucks because if they would have adapted them, like if they would have given the amount of respect and the amount of energy and fucking research they did for Hugh Jackman to be Wolverine for any of the X-Men that are in this fucking film, we would have gotten such a good representation of Rogue. Because I think Anna Paquin can play Rogue. She's just not good at playing the Rogue that they wrote.
Yeah, that's true. And also making her like this sort of ingenue, this kind of confused teen. You take kind of the teeth out. I also don't understand like what value she holds in terms of the team. Like, particularly, that's not like me denigrating her as a human being. Her power set, I mean, is really particular because she doesn't have the flight and super strength that she stole from Miss Marvel in the comics and in the cartoon series. She only has the ability to she takes Bobby's power for a second, or she stops Pyro from in the great scene where they come out and all the cops are there and Pyro's blowing all the cars up. All the bad mutes you hear about in the news. I'm the worst one. That's really cool. And she stops that and stuff. And then in the third one, how, a missile's coming, Colossus like holds her so that she can take on his powers for a second so she doesn't get hit by the rocks. She needs to be more tactical. Like the thing where she has to land the X-Jet, or the Blackbird rather, at the end, and she doesn't do it very well. Like, she should be a gun at that then, if she's not going to be able to use her power set. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know why they didn't give her the flight and super strength, because there's no explanation for why Logan can jump as high as he can, or fucking howl.
It's all the protein, mate. It's sort of protein and cardio work that he does. It's just Hugh Jackman.
Two bad jokes that I don't want to make.
I know what both of them were too. Like I can read you, sir. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, you could do that. Like, yeah, her powers are absorbing, but she's also got super strength and flight. You wouldn't need to do that. But I mean, the fan base would have been up in arms. I just want to sort of couple people together and then move towards sort of the back part of the story, where the fantastic sequence where the Blackbird, after the Pyro incident, gets attacked by the two fighter pilots, and Storm literally calls down from the sky fucking tornadoes and shit. Like, they talk about it in the cartoon all the time. They never talk about it in the movies. She's a god. She can affect the landscape. Like, that is incredible. This motherfucker's got some toothpicks that come out of his fists. This other guy can make your drink cold. This guy, you know what I mean? And this African goddess can turn things, can completely change what's going on by her mood, Also, did you know, in the first film, there was supposed to be an origin sequence for Aurora, where she accidentally decimated her village when her powers developed? It was storyboarded and everything, and they didn't shoot it.
Well, fuck them.
I know. That would have been cool. But anyway, yeah, so there was that sort of great sequence, which I always said we'll get to, but we kind of did. Before we get to the back where you get the team up, let's talk about Jean and Scott. They're great together. I think they really work. Cyclops is so fucking underused in these movies. It's ridiculous. And it can be done well because they just did it in animated form. Like,
how did we have fucking 2 decades of no Scott leading and then this?
I mean, it's been doing it well in the comics, I guess, but it's just, yeah, like, he's sort of playing the foil to Wolverine's kind of jabs, and Jean's, you flirt with the bad guy, but you marry the good guy. Well, that's not very nice. Like, maybe just don't flirt with anyone if you've committed to somebody, or at least, not in any real way. The way that she's, almost S-ing Wolverine's D in every other scene. Like, the actual story of her, like, being different after Liberty Island and accessing something which ended up being the subconscious part of her power that Professor X put barriers behind. Like, it's not a cosmic entity in this version. It's just this multiple personality kind of thing, or a dissociative identity disorder kind of situation. And for those powers to kind of develop and then come by the time you get to the end of it is really interesting. Famke Janssen is she's not underused. She's not as remembered for these roles as she should be.
I agree.
Because if you watch them all in sequence like the way that I did, it's like the Batman movies, you get more out of it. Her arc from Professor X's class 5 level mutant, the only class 5 level mutant ever encountered, who was the protege to the Dark Phoenix, is really, really powerful, and she's really, really good at it. And this middle section here, where she still has access to that power as the humane version of herself in order to be able to sacrifice herself and everything she loves in order to save these people, is really great.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's so much good that can happen with the Phoenix storyline, because it's not all Dark Phoenix. There is the Phoenix Saga where she is empowered and she's the best. And she's like, every time you're in trouble, she just calls the Phoenix and we're done. And yeah, if we'd gotten like 5 films, that would have been the case, but I don't know.
Yeah, Cyclops would have been fucking dead for 2 of them. It's cold-blooded, that. There's a baller line, though, in that third film where he's like, hey, man, we all miss her. And he's like, no, not everyone heals as quick as you, Wolverine. Like, that's what happens.
Which is one of 5 lines that he gets in those films.
I know. It's fucking just... James Marsden must have been like, look at the schedule going, I came on day 3, day 4... Is that it? Am I day 3 and 4? That's it? That's all you need me for? How much money am I getting for this? Is there a sequel? Do I come back? Does she come back? Fuck. It's messy, man, to get rid of a Stark. Because no one ever knew what to do with him. Even in part 2, they sideline him for the entire middle of the movie. Like, Stryker goes to Magneto's plastic prison, gets the information about how to attack the base, and to get the information to Cerebro so he can rebuild it at Alkali Lake. And then Scott and Xavier turn up to visit. All shit breaks out. Lady Deathstroke's there. She fucking roundhouse kicks this fucking one-eyed motherfucker into a wall. And that's it. Homie is out of the picture until he tries to fucking blast Jean into another dimension in the end fight scene. Like, yeah, really. That's one other knock I might have for this film. Like, I don't give star ratings anymore, but it would take a little bit of a star off just because he's just. Imagine how much more interesting it would be if he was alongside while all the shit between Jean and Logan was happening, and he was like, "What the fuck is going on between you two? Why? What is this attraction thing? Like, am I not man enough for you? Is he more? You know what I mean? Like, testing the masculinity of this dude, because it makes perfect sense. It would have been the way that in the cartoon series, Jean's femininity was tested by the fact that Scott was having psychic affairs with Madeline. Call me old-fashioned, but I think a love triangle is much more interesting than a love line. Okay,
so a love triangle would be if Jean liked Scott, right? Okay, fuck it. If Scott liked Jean and Jean liked Logan, but Logan also liked Scott, that would be a triangle.
I'm not... Like we've said before, Logan's over, 200 years old at this point or whatever the fuck. Like, you try some things, let's just try everything. I have to take a sip from every cup is my advice.
True. Also, like I believe it's in their House of X comics where they're a happy throuple, and sometimes Jean is not needed for both of them to have fun, and I love that.
Treat yourself, gents. Like, whatever's going on. It's Pride Month. Well, it's July when this comes out, but it was just Pride Month, so Pride Month. Yeah. So just thinking about the confluence of events here, Magneto sort of escapes from his prison, which is one of the coolest fucking shits ever. Like, turning taking the okay, wait, let me go back. Mystique putting the iron ore into the guy's bottom. And I think the We Hate Movies guys said this best, I think, was if you're that guy and Rebecca Romaine comes up to you, something's up. If money doesn't change hands, something is up, and you should probably check for your kidneys after that encounter, and your wallet at the very least. She's great too. Rebecca Romaine really sells this character. Like, she is, in the same way that her son canonically is, she has a conversation, is it true that you can be anyone, even their voice? And she goes, even their voice. He's like, if you could look like one of those, why, someone else, why wouldn't you just that? She goes, we shouldn't have to. Her belief in Magneto's cause. It's not Magneto's cause anymore, it's hers too. Yeah, that is just as strong as Kurt's belief that everything happens for a reason and everything is meant to be and it's fated and everybody is ordained and all that kind of stuff, or destined rather, to do what it is they're destined to do. And she sells the shit out of it. She's really great. When they get to Alkali Lake and she goes in as Wolverine and whoop everybody's ass and then slides out the door giving everyone the finger, just mutant and proud, man. I love it.
Also, like, Rebecca Romijn's performance is 90% of her not like she's in a suit or like in makeup, not a suit. And to sell that performance, and also, having, this is insane, but having 2 blue mutants in your second X-Men film is like, it's a statement. And having her believe so much to the fact that that Mystique then, like in the prequel era, became the Wolverine of the roster, because they tried to make Mystique as important and like as heroic as Wolverine in these films, and that might have not worked very well, but it did give so much development to like just the way she is. Like she fucking believes, man. She believes in the cause, and she's like, if nobody's doing shit, I will. Like, that's why she signed her jellyfish, or whatever you called her.
Senator Water Jelly is. I can't remember. Is it Henry Garrick? No, it's not Henry Garrick. He was the other guy, Senator Kelly. Yeah, but he gets Senator Water Jelly Man. Yeah, she's so great, and that scene where they've just sort of discovered what Stryker's plans are. She goes in and steals the plans, and that he's trying to build a dark Cerebro or an anti-Cerebro to hunt. And then they use, after kidnapping Charles Xavier, they use Stryker's son, who can, project images and dreams and scenarios into people's minds and make them think they're doing things that they're not, to get him to pretend to be a little girl, who then convinces Xavier to go and find all the X-Men in the dark Cerebro. They figured this out. It's not no one else. The only people who figured this out are Mystique and Magneto. And that is where the X-Men are united, and they have to go to Alkali Lake, which is a fucking... I mean, just for the sets alone. The fight sequence between Wolverine and Lady Deathstrike, fucking amazing. Still holds up. They used this a camera they called at the time. I think it might have been a Spider Cam, and it's on. Like nowadays, you would do that with like a stabilizer rig or some sort of crane or dolly. It was literally like a camera that rode on cabling. They use them here for like the football matches and things like that, and that's why you get that cool kind of like shock moment when it stops, and it's got this real visceral, kinetic, immediate feel about it, as opposed to being like a really static. I mean, Bryan Singer is a great director of action. There's no doubt about it. And Thomas Siegel, I think it is, his DP is fucking fantastic. Just knows exactly where to put the camera. But to light this beautiful set and the the adamantium chamber and all that stuff, just absolutely epic.
Yep, Thomas Siegel. No, it's Thomas Siegel. I was just checking.
Thomas Siegel, yeah, I thought so. I love that fight scene. That's another great sort of Wolverine moment where the blades came out and he's like, oh shit, I am not the only one, and then to just the indignity of filling her with adamantium and she floats to the bottom of the tank and goes thunk on the bottom, just, that's cold-blooded.
Yeah. Also, I like that this carries the legacy of the first one, with Wolverine eventually has to fight himself. Like his own worst enemy is himself.
That's always the way, Yeah.
He does that in Logan too.
Yeah, in a much more extreme way. I think probably for me the kind of highlight of this sequence is the great fight sequence, and then they've got to go in and get Xavier, and Kurt has said earlier, he's like, can't you just Bamf into the next room. They didn't say Bamf, obviously, but can't you just, teleport into the next room and get in? He goes, no, if I can't see where I'm going, I can teleport inside of a wall. And then where she does say, I have faith in you, and they go in there, and then you've got Scott and Jean sort of fighting, and then Magneto switching the gears and making it so that he's going to kill all the humans. That kind of last second double play. But for me, it's the moment where Wolverine finds Stryker trying to escape and chains him to the bottom of that helicopter. Yeah, there's no answers for that way for you, Wolverine. And then when they finally get out, once Alkali Lake floods, and the dam sort of starts to collapse, and he goes out there and goes up to him, and he's chained to, Stryker's been chained to that wall. Magneto's getting away in the helicopter, and he throws those dog tags down and says, I'll take my chances with the kid. Wolverine giving up his need for answers is really, really important, and I wish they'd held on to it a bit longer, because they made an entire movie about it. The X-Men Origins Wolverine. Like, I think the better move probably would have been just go straight to the Wolverine, because the grieving for his murder of Jean Grey at the end of the 3 is more interesting to me than his origin story. Like, it's almost like you don't need that. When they did the comic, like, it's a really good comic, is Paul Jenkins, and I think it was Andy Kubert, son of Joe, great artist, did that work, and it is a beautiful piece. But I think he doesn't need an origin. I don't know. Is it just me?
Like, we got most of it from the films, and like his regression to like him living in the wilderness, because of what he's done, and it was all clear that he loved her, and I like Origins because because Liev Schreiber's Sabretooth is really cool. But except for that, it's not necessary. It's just there because they wanted to they wanted to cash in on the name.
And Hugh was game as well. Like, he wanted to keep playing this character, and clearly still does. Come back to do Wolverine Deadpool, which I'm still pretty excited about. And of course, we have to talk about one of the most heart-wrenching death scenes this side of Gambit, going in and the Blackbird not being able to take off, and Jean, the fantastic turn away from camera when you see in her eyes that she realizes that she can do this, and she turns away from camera and limps out the door, and then all of a sudden she can control everything. Like, her powers have just something switched on. She goes out and stops them from. She's even stopping Kurt from bamfing out there and getting her. He's like, grab her, and he's like, I can't do it. This is, for me, some of the best acting that you'll ever find in a comic book science fiction movie. Her not only using Xavier to speak for her, and James Marsden as Scott, in right there going, don't do this, and then the water coming through, the plane taking off, Xavier's sort of his face dropping, and then Wolverine saying she's gone, and Scott just screaming at him, no, you don't say that, and then him just falling apart. And those two men, these two people who have been at odds since the moment they met, holding each other because they both just lost everything. Yeah, it gets me choked up every time I watch it.
It is the most melodramatic is the wrong word, but it's the most heartfelt that this team has ever been, and it's all because of the performances. I get choked up when Scott realizes that she's controlling Xavier to talk to him, and just like you said, Logan holding on to Scott while he screams, and you don't say that. It's these are real people dealing with real feelings this. No matter the hugeness and the epicness of their battles, they're still human.
You're right. It plays as melodrama because of the circumstances, but in any other circumstance, I don't think anybody who has ever lost someone and been so devastated so completely has not blamed somebody else, even themselves. even in that moment, you know. And Hugh Jackman and James Marsden just bring it. They fucking bring it. And then Kurt coming in with the Shadow of the Valley of Death prayer. It didn't feel hokey, you know. It didn't feel overwrought or out of place. Like, it felt right for what we're doing. Like, you know, in all this stuff about acceptance and understanding and tolerance and violence and love and death and these grand themes, to have something like that come in there, like a theological perspective on these very tangible events, was something that you don't necessarily need, but it's also something that you don't necessarily not need either. It's like, it doesn't turn up and you go, well, this is fucking weird. You go, hey, that's an interesting way to look at stuff that we've been looking at the entire history of the X-Men, and we've really only had these characters, because they don't really touch on that stuff much. It's mostly about, you know, the themes that it sets up broadly. But to talk about it from a theological perspective is always more interesting, or an additional interesting. I love it. I love it so much. It's a perfect X-Men movie. It really doesn't get any better than this. I don't know what the fuck Marvel's going to do after this, but it's a pretty high watermark after X2, Days of Future Past, and motherfucking 97. They better knock it out the park. Too good. You should go and check it out, folks. It's on Disney Plus. It's streaming in 4K, and it looks pretty good. Most 4K streams don't, but it does look pretty good. Do you have a couple of favourite moments that you want to throw out at the folks before we do Q&A?
I do. You want to go sip?
We'll go sip. We'll do sip. We always do.
All right, you go first.
You know what it is? It's a really specific thing. When Nightcrawler attacks and he's bamfing the fuck out of the place and he's doing flips and he grabs one of the Secret Service dude's guns, he grabs a piece and uses his tail to whip it. It's a flip, snap, close up, like near the floor, and the tail whips the gun like away, and you hear this. It's just got a fantastic sound design that whoosh, and it's a really just a tight, you know, less than 3 second shot, and I just love it. It just snaps with the music, you know, with the orchestral score, and every time I hear it, I'm like, fuck, this is why I like making movies, you know. So that's mine. It's a Nightcrawler's tail whip. I'm
gonna say the scene with Mystique and Nightcrawler, where she says that we shouldn't, because that's somebody like Nightcrawler talking to somebody who's her whole life has believed in this cause and is fighting every single day for it, and for Nightcrawler to come from where he's come and to now be a part of this cause is like, you know, when you finally understand who you are and then you join in with folks who are like you, it's exactly that.
But it's also, that scene is they are the antithesis of each other. He is all about tolerance and understanding and forgiveness, and she is not. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah, it's that's the whole movie right there, you know, in that one particular scene. And I think, you know, the guys who wrote it, you know, Michael Dougherty and the other cat who wrote it, they know that, you know.
Yeah, tolerance is extinction.
Yeah, nice pull. My next one is Wolverine and Jean have a little bit of a makeout sesh. Mystique sees and then climbs into Wolverine's tent as Jean and tries to bone him. She's there to have sex with Wolverine, and she's like, all right, if you don't want this, I can be Storm, or I can be the teenager Rogue. Excuse me? Hang on a minute.
It goes from sexual tension to, ooh, I might like this too. Nope.
Yeah, to sexual tension to, you know, actually Storm's pretty hot, as in, no, that's a child. Like, no, thank you. That's, even if by function of what's happening there, it will technically be legal, let's not open that door. It's like if she all of a sudden she turned into sisters. It's like, no, I'm sorry, incest is not sexy under any circumstances. I'll catch you later. That wasn't one of my favorite bits, so I just thought I'd bring it up. Absolutely, the Deathstroke and Wolverine fight, I think, is fucking just so well put together and so well choreographed. Anybody out there about to make a superhero movie, watch that first and see what you need to do, you know.
You saying Lady Deathstrike?
What did I say?
Deathstroke. I was like, huh?
Oh, sorry. Lady Deathstroke that's the porno parody version. She jerks you off until you're dead. She makes you come 17 times and your head explodes. I do it 17 times in 1 minute. I don't know why they sound Australian, by the way. Why Lady Deathstroke is an Australian person, which is clearly Japanese, idiot. Anyway, what's your last one? Or your second last one? That scene now. It's Lady Deathstroke. And Wolverine. It's XXX2, the porno parody of X-Men. I guarantee it's out there. Just go hunting.
It's X2 Organs United.
That's it. You win the podcast. You win the podcast with that one, my friend. Well done. What's your second favorite, or what's another of your favorite moments?
Stryker's son, who I don't know if this is true or not, but I see it this way, and I kind of like that. I kind of like the way that I see it. Is that Stryker is so bigoted that he doesn't even understand why Jason is projecting himself as a young, as a little girl in Charles's mind. I think that's a good way to look at, gender identity in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, good point. How does he want to be seen? Yeah, that's awesome. Nice one. And I've said a lot of my favourite bits. One of my favourite bits that I didn't say that I will say now is Senator Waterjelly, or Senator Kelly, saying to Stryker, do you really want to turn this into some kind of a war? And he goes, I was running black op missions in the jungles of North Vietnam while you were sucking on your mama's tit at Woodstock, Kelly. Don't talk to me about war. This already is a war. That's Brian Cox. I love you, mate. Wherever you are just spectacular, and don't give up. I love it.
I remember the last time we did the X-Men films, you brought that up too.
It's just a really biting line, and he delivers it so well. It's like, fuck you.
Also, it goes by too fast. By the time you register, he says your mama's titties. It's already 2 scenes later.
Yeah, he's like, did he say mama's titties in an X-Men picture? Yeah, I fucking think he did. Holy shit. They never say titties in Marvel movies anymore. I know, there should be more titties. Who are we? It's double reads.
The two guys who saw Doctor Strange's dick flying around.
It's the two guys who saw Doctor Strange's cock in the sky. Yeah, it's those two guys again going, have you seen the new X-Men picture? Or the old X-Men picture, rather? Yeah, very cool. Okay, what's another final favourite for you?
So this is the scene after everything's happened, in the president's office where they all just show up.
Yeah.
In darkness.
Oh, fuck yeah. We completely forgot about that. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't. I was waiting.
Yeah, okay.
And the whole speech about acceptance and, it's not us versus them. It's all of us. Yeah. We're in it together. And, yeah. And fuck, man, to have Nightcrawler just laying there, just so fucking sexy high that he does.
And he's like, when Xavier's like, well, let's just say I know a little girl who can walk through walls, and he laughs. But it's the line that I actually dropped into our X-Men episodes that gets me every time. It's where he says, there have been casualties, losses on both sides, and it cuts to Scott. And the fact that James Marsden can emote with glasses or a visor on, it's amazing. It's really amazing. It's the same as Mystique doing it through makeup, I guess. But yeah, that is a great scene. Great way to end everything. It's
My favorite line of that scene is at the end. Wolverine says, "We're watching," and every time I watch this film, I'm like, so you've come so far, Wolverine.
I know he used to be, this literal rogue walking around the country with no name. It's a sort of outlaw Jesse Wells kind of character. And then he becomes one of the team. But I love that as well. It reminds me of the end of the Authority comics where she's like, we are the Authority, now behave. They want to be on the right side, but they also understand that sometimes they're going to have to ruffle some feathers. So, what a great movie. Go and check it out, everyone. Watch them all. Watch them all in sequence or out of sequence. Just fucking get X-Men into your life, however you can manage it. Do we have any X questions today?
We have one next question.
I love it. It's probably from Chaz.
Yeah.
My main man. He messaged me the other day. It was just like a picture of he was eating a banana and he just tagged me in it. I was like, you better be nude, mate. He's like, yeah, it's a post-shower banana. Fucking cracked me up. So, number one fan for sure. All right, well, here's the question.
What modern social, political, human issues would you like to see the new X-Men address? See, I told you it's not a fucking funny thing.
It's a really good question. Probably, if we're talking X-Men, you know, X-Men School for Gifted Youngsters, cyberbullying, I think is a real problem. There is too much access to too much information for young people that they're not ready for. And I've been witness. I don't have any children, but I have friends who have children, and I have a niece and godkids and stuff. And there is kids being exposed to stuff really fucking early. I was too young when I first saw pornography, I reckon. Like, seriously, that's not a joke. I'm being serious. I was probably too young to see it, but it was like a VHS tape you got off a fucking year 12, you know? Like, it was, and it wasn't malicious. Like, people are using this stuff, like revenge porn is being used on people who aren't even old enough to understand what sexual relations are really. Like, it's just the world that we currently live in is going to be written by these kids and not written, but is going to be traversed by these kids. And if they're becoming traumatically affected by their, you know, preteen and teen years, like with this kind of stuff, what kind of grown-ups do you think are going to take over stewardship of this planet? Like, get real. And I will say, like, young people these days, and I, you know, see this in my niece and you know, my friends' kids and stuff, they're really great. This, like, when they can be, they're super supportive. They're right on board with pronouns and you know, the LGBTQIA plus community, and all that stuff is just part of their vernacular now. It doesn't even mean anything to them. We're all the ones catching up. But there's some stuff that's been going on here in Melbourne recently with some private schools where boys were putting together a list of who was fuckable and who wasn't, and they're like fucking, you know, 13, 14 years old or whatever. Like, that's not, if we're getting to a place where they're getting that kind of information from anywhere other than the internet, that's fucked up. But if they're getting it from the internet, we need to talk about how that's regulated. And so, yeah, I think that would be interesting to talk about, you know, with these kids of bullying, because not only in between mutants, you know, in between mutant factions, but also human to mutant and mutant to human kind of situation. What about you?
That's a really great answer. I don't know if I want to say anything.
You can piggyback on mine. That's cool.
No, definitely that. I don't think what I'm going to say would ever fucking happen. But I would really fucking love an X-Men film to just be about gender identity. Like, just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. And they did it so well. I mean, the like you said before, the character of Jason, I didn't even think of that, you know. It doesn't have to be like right in your face either. It can be like Morph in X-Men 97. Exactly. Something that just is. Yeah, without being signifying or virtue signaling or anything like that. Just part of the story and whatever the story is. Nice. Beautiful. Well, there you have it, folks. That's our X episode. Come on back next time. We're going to talk about Logan, fantastic film from, I think it was 2017. I'm excited. I haven't rewatched it in a little while since I got the 4K a couple of years ago. Can't wait to get back to it. It's going to be a good time. Addy, I love you, mate.
Love you too, man.
Thanks so much for talking the X-Men's, and we'll see you next time, everybody. And remember,
stay amazing, stay safe. Big titty, bigger balls, boing boing.
Boing boing.